improvement in our generational supply. That is one important element. How to empower women.
To a lawyer, justice can be seen as the recognition and application of the rule of law by the courts to resolve disputes among citizens or between the citizens and the state. While to a judge, justice is the application of the rule of law without fear or favor, affection or ill will. Justice, you would agree with me, is the ultimate and supreme aim of the law. Is this a law class? Not at all. This is Dateline. Apart from being here on duty, it's always a delight to be here. A warm welcome to you, viewer. My name is Joyce Nwosu. Our topic of discussion, or the topic of discussion before us, is bridging justice gaps for ordinary Nigerians. There's a popular notion that says Nigeria's law is very complex. Some folks believe there are two types of law, one for the rich and one for the poor. Experts are saying the law needs to be reformed to be clear to the layman. Let the same law apply to everyone. We'll take a break now. Stay with us.
Visit Housing TV Africa on YouTube and click on the subscribe button. Subscribe to Housing TV Africa to stay updated on latest happenings in Nigeria's housing sector. Follow our social media pages, like and share our posts on Facebook, Housing TV Africa, on Twitter, Housing TV Africa, Instagram, Housing TV Africa. Join the conversation and keep up with latest housing updates.
Welcome again. Access to justice is an essential component of a functioning democracy in any country, and Nigeria is no exception. However, the Nigerian legal system faces numerous challenges that hinder access to justice, particularly for the vulnerable population. Another challenge is the inefficient judicial process characterized by delays, congestion, and inadequate infrastructure. The low pace of justice delivery frustrates litigants and erodes confidence in the legal system. The judiciary's limited resources, inadequate funding, and poor management exacerbate the problem. Corruption is another significant obstacle which has undermined the integrity of the legal system, making it difficult for ordinary citizens to access justice. The corrupt practices discourage people from seeking legal remedies, thereby perpetuating impunity and injustice. Limited access to legal services, particularly for the rural and necessitous population, is another challenge. Many Nigerians cannot afford legal representation, and legal aid programs are inadequate to bridge the gap. This situation perpetuates inequality and denies marginalized communities access to justice. According to experts, these challenges can be addressed through investing in the judiciary's infrastructure, training judges and lawyers, expanding legal aid programs in order to improve the delivery of justice services, and upholding the professional ethics of the legal profession in order to mitigate corrupt practices of legal practitioners. On standby with insightful analysis is a legal practitioner right after this break. Exploring this conversation with us is Barrister Happiness Iheukwumere, a legal practitioner bagging her degrees from the Nnamdi Azikiwe University and the University of Lagos. Many thanks for being on Dateline, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming. Now, let's quickly get into strengthening social justice. How do ordinary Nigerians seek redress when aggrieved by government or a powerful person?
The usual channel that is open to every citizen as a citizen of Nigeria bearing lack of awareness or the way without to pursue justice, everybody has the option of going to court and numerous other methods of dispute resolution in Nigeria.
Okay, so just the court?
You have the courts, and there are many others.
Like?
Alternative dispute resolution methods. There are formal ones, there are informal methods of dispute resolution where citizens can seek for redress in Nigeria.
Okay,
yes.
So let's even look at the informal ones. Okay, the ombudsman, that's a formal one. Then let's talk about the informal ones. Because we're looking at ordinary Nigerians finding, seeking for justice. How do they marshal through all of the big manism in Nigeria? And, this is government case and all that.
Court is always the first port of call for dispute resolution. You understand? I know that there are some bottlenecks, there are some difficulties encountered going to courts. They exist, but it doesn't mean that the courts are not working. If the courts are not working, there will be no issue of courts being congested with cases. That's why even courts preach that you use other dispute resolution methods, given the peculiarity of certain cases. Or courts don't advise that courts should always be the first port of call when you have issues. You could come there and then court directs you, go seek resolution of your dispute. It could be settlement, parties settlement within themselves, out of court settlement. It could be other alternative dispute resolution methods. You have arbitration, you have conciliation, and the likes. There are too numerous to mention. Those are the formal ones we find. But in our societies as well, our culture encourages dispute resolution.
Okay, especially if it's a civil matter.
Yes, both civil and in fact is a court that has unlimited powers to address issues.
Okay.
If not for civilization, because when in civilization, certain kinds of crimes will naturally go to states. Okay. If not, the communities are built to be able to address their issues. They have their methods. Okay. They can ostracize one for committing certain crimes. They do a lot. I know a town where someone killed a man, and that's a crime. Though the case was reported to the police, but the community has a way of addressing such issues. Okay. Such people that kill, their family house are broken.
Okay.
Yes, for doing such, and again, some rites, some cultural rites will have to be performed in order not to cause deaths, maybe for the family members, and loss of faith between, say, one community and the other. They have ways and means of addressing issues. Civil cases, plethora of them, they handle civil cases without any qualms, So when something happens, there are mediums of taking cases to them. They have their days based on, say, in Igbo culture, they have certain days marked out for addressing issues. People go there with their cola, with their palm wine. They were allowed to certain extent fair hearing. You present your case, this person presents his own, gives defense and all that.
All right.
They settle issues. Yes.
Now, I would like to find out, because I know this question will be on the mind of every ordinary Nigerian. Talking about public office holders, how are they being held accountable for their actions or inactions, so to speak? Okay.
Depending on the kind of issue, a public office holder, if the person commits personal dispute against someone, the person can be sued under the civil law.
Okay.
But if it's one that the person commits that has to do with his official responsibilities, the government has laws that address such issues.
Okay.
Such is what we call the Ombudsman or the Public Complaints Commission.
Okay.
Yes. The Public Complaints Commission is set up to address issues,
okay,
emanating from public office holders.
And citizens.
Yes, yes, citizens, because a citizen may demand certain rights or privileges from a public office holder.
Okay.
In a situation where the person is denied, or there is any kind of abuse, or any act that is against the law, a citizen has the right to approach the Public Complaints Commission to make such complaints. Okay. And such a person will be called to order after due investigation.
Now, do you think that reviving our traditional systems, you mentioned that earlier, reviving our traditional and religious systems will help to bridge the gap of justice?
Yes. Well, sorry, before I come to that, you mentioned awareness. Awareness is actually key for people to realize their rights. Because one could have rights and not know that he has the right. Awareness needs to be created so that people will know that they have rights, and they will know the channels, they know the bodies that they can approach to for redress. Because if you don't know that, many people, I'm sure some people, because I personally didn't know while I was in school until I wrote on Ombudsman as my thesis when graduating from school. I said, so while this exists, actually exists, how much more people in the remote areas? When people are aware of their rights and they know where they can go seeking for it, it will be easier for them. And it will equally make those responsible to sit up, because they are actually taking advantage of people's ignorance. If you check it well, they take advantage of people's ignorance. You come, somebody's right and privilege, because it's in your power, you deny him, or you expect one thing or the one favor or the other before you do it. That shouldn't be. Awareness is quite key.
Okay, now let's look at other courts of public opinion. For instance, if you live in the Federal Capital Territory, there is a popular show on radio called the Brekete Family Show. Now, do we need more of such platforms to address issues? Yes, because I don't know if you listen to the show, but it's more like human rights, a platform where you can go seek redress, you can get justice, you can, amplify your voice if you've been, abused and all of that. Should we strengthen other courts of public opinion?
So long as they work within the law. Certain laws are made to protect people's interests. And that's the reason why people like us will go to school and spend many years to be taught, so that will help in the dispensation of justice in Nigeria here. So if such courts should exist and they function within the parameters of the law, it's good, because it's helping. I know, coming to Abuja, I've realized that many people go there while seeking for redress, and I believe they have been helping in resolving certain issues, giving people that ordinarily wouldn't have access to justice, giving them succor, giving them opportunity to express themselves and get relief. So if they could work within the parameters of the law, they are welcome, because you find that certain dispute resolution methods that came up, they came up because we find that court of laws, after settlement of the issues, people tend to part ways. It's quite adversarial. That's, in Nigeria, we operate the adversarial system of dispute resolution in the court of laws. But alternative dispute resolution methods, they are quite reconciliatory. They function in a way that people that have disputes approach them, and at the end of the day, disputes are resolved, and it's a win-win for everybody. There's no, like they say, no victor, no vanquished. If there are people that were relating before they had issues, they could go back relating. It could be commercial relationship or any form of relationship that could be brought to such dispute resolution mechanism.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So if you've just joined us, this is Dateline, and we're looking at bridging justice gaps for ordinary Nigerians. And doing justice to that has been Barrister Happiness Iheukwumere. We'll take a break now. Please stay with us. Welcome back to the show. Dateline is reaching you from Housing TV Africa. Moving on, do you think religious systems will also help bridge the gap of justice?
Of course, they do. The religious system can bridge the gap of justice because naturally, you see religious leaders, cases come to them due to the fiduciary power they have over their members or people that worship with them. So cases usually are brought to them because their members do hold them in an esteemed position, and they will naturally give trust on them to handle issues brought before them objectively.
But sometimes I feel maybe you're going to a religious setting, you know the religious leader will tell you, why not forgive and forget?
Most religions preach
Peace.
Forgiveness, they preach peace, you understand? So if they can appeal, for lack of a better word, if they can appeal to your emotion to forgive your sister or your brother, and it works, and both of you work together, at the end of the day, what we are seeking, or what parties should be seeking, should be peace. It should be peace and justice, especially in that angle, not necessarily justice. It should be peace so that people can work together as brothers and sisters, and then showcase what they preach to the outside world. They showcase what they preach to the outside world by being conciliatory. Because if where peace reigns, people tend to work better, and the society will be better for it. That doesn't mean that religious settlement or religious platforms for settlement of disputes do not have their disadvantages.
Okay.
They do have advantages and disadvantages. You know, they could be extreme in their dispute resolution. There could be bias, such as certain issues and challenges one could find in such situation. Yes, you can find that they could be biased. They could go extreme in their handling of issues between members.
Now, let's come back to public office holders, political leaders, and people we tend to hold accountable for their actions. Now, talking about the Freedom of Information Bill,
Yes.
I'd like you to let us know how accessible is it?
Freedom of Information Act, you know, is the act that was established for freedom of information. And yes, I would say that it's very, very accessible to citizens. But the question is, are citizens aware? Are they aware of its existence? Are they aware? Are they aware of their right to seek for certain information that may be advantageous to them? That's the thing. So awareness needs to be created so that people will know. You could have need of certain information that will help you in your career or in your business. You have the right to walk up to any government establishment to ask for such information. And the act mandates them to oblige you. It mandates them to oblige you. So it's open. Because if you look at the rationale behind instituting such an act, is that citizens should have access to certain rights that they have or certain needs that they have regarding the information within the power, within the jurisdiction of government establishments. But that does not mean that is every information within the power of the government that is accessible to you. There are certain exemptions.
Okay.
Yes, certain exemptions, some that are sensitive information that could pose security risk when exposed to people, or if they are personal information, because one could go asking for some personal information regarding, say, a head of a department or a head of an establishment.
Okay.
You would not be obliged. Yes.
Okay.
And such government establishments, by the Act's provision, are mandated to oblige any such information that is not exempted within 7 working days.
Okay.
Yes.
But practically, if I were to maybe talk about what we do here
Yes.
at Housing TV Africa, that means for Nigerians with the housing deficit and all of the data, Nigerians who are not enjoying low-cost housing and social welfare housing and all of that, that means they can walk up to the Ministry of Housing to ask, what are you people doing? What projects do you have on ground? You know, Ministry of Health and all of that. And those ministries have a duty to answer to such requests, right?
Yes.
And the Ministry of Housing has been doing a lot. They've been having a lot of press releases just to apprise Nigerians of what, you know, they have been, you know, achieving in with regards to the build sector. Now, finally, what does the law say about non-violent offenders such as dot checks offenders, you know, civil matters and all of that? And is it being applied?
Yes, it's been applied to some extent.
What does the law say about people? Because why would anybody be in Kefi prison for
Yes.
presenting a dot check?
Yes. Such offenses are those that qualify for, you know, certain kind of punishments
Okay.
that may not require one actually going to prisons like you mentioned. But again, it boils down to awareness. Even in this case, awareness of even lawyers that represent such individuals. And then awareness of the individuals. Do they know that they have such rights? Then one other major issue that bedevils non-violent offenders is the discretion the law gives judges and the magistrates.
Okay.
You know, they have that discretion. They have wide discretion to either convict one and sentence the person to a prison term, or to charge fine, or again apply some kinds of punishment that will not require them.
But still within the frame of the law.
It's still within the frame of the law. Okay. So lawyers will play major role in this respect if they are aware that certain cases like that, certain non-violent offenses can be punished without going to the prison. Well, lawyers will play a major role in creating that awareness and helping people to actually do certain kind of punishments apart from going to prison. It could be in the nature of community service.
How about people, gender-based violence issues?
Such too, they are part of it. They could be punished by keeping them under probation.
Okay.
Yes. You know, that require watching the person to see whether the person takes correction, whether the person is repentant, okay, before, you know, you deciding what to do with such a person.
Okay.
It could be community services. Those are equally done even in our villages and all. They are wide. The lists are just I mentioned now. The two examples are not exhaustive in any way.
Okay. Now let's get your final thoughts on our focus, bridging justice gaps for ordinary Nigerians. Conclusively, what would be your call to action? Okay.
That is a major area where government attention needs to be brought. You know, as it is currently in Nigeria, not many people have access to justice in the courts of law. Awareness needs to be created, and such other alternative means of dispute resolution need to be encouraged. They need to be sponsored. They need to be, you know, be created to help in dispute resolution, so long as they operate within the confines of the law.
Okay.
You know, bearing in mind fairness, equity, and good conscience. You know,
okay.
So even traditional mechanisms,
okay,
so long as they don't make laws, they don't apply laws that encourage obnoxious acts. If they operate within what the law provides, they can be encouraged.
Okay.
Yes, they can be encouraged. Likewise, NGOs are equally doing a lot.
Okay.
Yes, mostly they operate in the area of human rights protection and all.
Okay.
They too can be encouraged. Government can help by creating conducive environment for them to thrive. Yes.
Okay.
So when they come in, they will help. at the end of the day, the country will be a better place.
Okay.
And our courts too will not be over congested. Our judges will not be over labored, you know, and everybody is good at the end of the day.
Okay.
Yes.
Everybody being good at the end of the day will also be, you know, what some people have been calling for. Thankfully, we hear tax reforms. Maybe we'll soon be hearing about legal reforms, because the laws that were enacted 100 years ago cannot apply now.
Yes.
Certainly.
Yes.
Thank you so much,
You're welcome.
Barrister Happiness Iheukwumere,
Yeah.
for coming on Dateline. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
All right, thank you. While the judicial system is varied, the ordinary man can and should get justice. We hope that there will be a lasting solution to the complexity of the Nigerian law. We also trust that we have been able to interpret some of the bottlenecks in the system as far as the law is concerned. Many thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and follow us on all our social media profiles at Housing TV Africa. Download the Housing TV Africa mobile app on Google Play Store and App Store. Thanks for watching. I'm Joyce Somoso. Bye for now.
Housing TV Africa, your first in housing development broadcasting.